Next car on the list of things to do is a Mazda. What is this, a Mazda 3?
Mazda 6.
Mazda 6? It's a Mazda, let's just call it that.
Mazda, yeah.
He took all the emblems off of it, so I don't know. But it's this guy right here. Let's take a look. It's actually a really nice sporty car. He went ahead and added this little front air dam here. Black and white, Stormtrooper colors. Really cool there. What we got going on is he's gone ahead and blown this speaker right here. Yeah, that's definitely blown. So we're gonna replace all 4 of the speakers with these guys right here. Some Punch P1683s. And then because he needs some subwoofer for sure, we're gonna go ahead and add a pair of Comp 10s off of a 501 Prime. So that's the plan to help him out. These guys here, the Mazdas, we've done a couple of these. It's got this really goofy radio in the dash. One of those little floating Mazda radios, but so we're not replacing the radio. Fernando, you come up with a plan for the amplifier?
Yeah, it's not gonna go under the seat because the weird shape of the carpet. I'm gonna mount it right here like that, running the wires, and yep, that will be good.
Let's get started, shall we?
Started.
Yeah, bang it out. So now, anytime you're getting ready to pull a door panel off that you're unfamiliar with, there's a couple things that you want to do. First off, look around the bottom and the sides of the door panel. So along this area here, definitely across the bottom, rub it, feel for any indentions. If you do feel one, there's probably a screw or something there. Sometimes along here there's push tabs, so you want to check for that. Sometimes there's push tabs around here. Sometimes this little guy comes off first. So always look around those areas first to start out with. Secondly, if there's a hole for an armrest, see for one if there's a little piece of rubber in there. And then sometimes there'll be some panels and possibly a screw, like in this case there is a Phillips screw in there. We'll remove that. In some cases they also put one up behind here. If this piece moves, you're going to want to go ahead and check that out. In this case this comes right out and there's another screw behind here. In some cases this piece here has to come off and there's screws here, or this piece will have to come off and there's screws here. What you want to do is find a corner that you can get your hand on and put your fingers in there and just slowly start to rise up. Now what I like to do is put my fingers behind and use my thumb, so I kind of push like this, which will kind of hurt, trying to get in as far as I can into the door panel to where I can almost feel the clip, and then use my thumb as the pulley. See how much of the door will come loose. Usually across the top here, it comes down into the door panel like this. Once you get this all loose, you have to lift up the door panel to get that off. Push from the bottom. Sometimes there's clips here, so like if you push up and you're not getting anywhere, see if you can look from the bottom, like look up and see if there's any clips there, or feel inside. In this case I can feel there's clips. And then gently just pull the door off. Then what you want to do is look around the door and see if any of these came off. Sometimes they'll come off just from moving the door up and down a little bit, and other times they'll just pop off just because of the way you take the door panel off. Snap them back into place. Dude, look at this speaker. They're stuck like this.
Oh wow.
They're stuck out like that. That's cool. Originally we were going to do 5x7s because I'm pretty sure that's probably what this calls for, but this isn't a 5x7 in the car. We're going to have to change that up a bit. It's no big deal. That's why we wanted to go ahead and get this door off to see what we got going on. So one of the other things you want to do when replacing speakers is actually listen to the speaker before you take the door off. So like in this case, this one was blown. I went over and listened to the passenger side. I wanted to see what was coming out of it. It is a full range signal coming out of it, which is good because that means that there's probably no amplifier in this, and we can just go ahead and replace them easily. If you were to hear like just sub bass or strong mid bass, no treble coming out of this, that might tell you that there's an amplifier in here. And if there is, you may have to come up with a different game plan. Like you might have to go with a full amplified system, do some form of a subbing module to allow you to get this to where it will play the frequencies you want it to. So you have to be careful and get an idea of what you're doing before you even get to this point. So we have a pretty nice size speaker here. I'm thinking we might want to do some Kenwood 7-inch in this. So we'll set this aside right now. We're gonna go ahead and pull the rear door off, figure out what that is, so then we can go talk to Paul and come up with a new strategy for replacing these speakers. normal 6.5 here. These are 4 ohm, 25 watt. And then, you know, we got a cheap paper cone. This one you can see is already warped, probably from some kind of water damage. Why you'd put a paper cone speaker in the door. So we're gonna head over to see Paul and come up with a strategy to replace these. So this is our big front speaker, and this is our much smaller rear speaker. What we're going to use for the rears is the Kenwood Exelon KFC X174. Or as I like to call them, and you have pointed out to me, some KFC home fried chicken speakers. And then for the front, we're gonna do the KFC X183Cs. Now these are a 7-inch speaker. This speaker here, and make this mount here so that we can mount this speaker in that location. It's gonna look something like that. And make one of these guys here and mount that into it like this. So let's make some templates. Now we're gonna do the rear doors. For that, we just stuck them to the substrate. We're gonna make these out of 1/2-inch blown PVC. Also, we call it Sentra. Let's head over to the router. Before you remove your template, make sure you drill your screw holes. Now Kenwood was nice enough to give us this spacer here. We're going to use this to router out our hole. So all we have to do is attach it onto this. And for that, what I'm going to do is figure out which way this goes so I can pre-drill the screw holes for it. We have our rear speaker mounts all set and ready to go. Now as far as the front doors go, we did find that Metra makes a part for this. This is the 827501. So it is a rather nice mount like that. Sticks the speaker out pretty decent. Comes with these here to scale it down to a smaller size. The problem I see is that we're trying to do a 7-inch. So I don't know if the 7 is going to fit. So it's definitely not going to fit like as is, which is fine. I didn't think it would. However, we can mount our 7-inch bezel to this and get the right size hole we need. So here's what we did. We went ahead and inside the 7-inch box is a trim bezel for a 7-inch speaker. We went ahead and routed it all off so that it would fit inside of this. We screwed it in. Now we're just router out the bigger hole into this. So we have our bigger hole. Our 7-inch will fit in it now. Now just in case you're wondering why we opted to go to these instead of hand making the front ones, is cost. To hand make them is a lot more expensive than to use these. Now these are very rigid and Metra does a really nice job building them, and the only thing we needed was a little bit bigger hole. If we were to make them from scratch, it's going to add to the price a lot. And seeing how we weren't originally going to do these speakers in the car, these were already costing a little bit more. So to keep the price where it needed to be, switching to these was definitely a more cost-effective approach. If he was to spend the money, I would probably recommend him spending it on like roadkill or something like that, as opposed to me making a custom plastic bracket where a plastic bracket already exists. One of the nice things about the 7-inch Kenwood is they come with all kinds of foam in the package. And they come with 4 pieces of it, which, hey, we have 4 speakers, so we're going to use this stuff. Speakers are all done. Let's get them in the car. This car, we're going to be doing a high level to low level of the LP72. And now because we've replaced the speakers in here, it's going to make this a little bit easier. Let me show you why. So since we have this door off, we're going to go ahead and set this in continuity. That's that cool, you know, sound you hear in there. That's that radiating speaker there at the bottom, right there. Now what he can do is he can come over and grab one of the speakers here, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and plug in, and then come over here into the factory wiring on this side, see what color the wires are, and now we can follow it up to here, and we can do a continuity test between this wire here and that wire there, and that'll allow us to know which one is which. So we have continuity there. We have continuity there. All we have to do is a polarity check on the factory speaker to know which one, either gray or blue in this case, is positive. We can hook up our high level to those two wires and we're all set. To do that, we like to use the PT9A. That's just gonna come on here and attach, and it's gonna make a popping sound and tell us that it's going the right direction, which is positive. So in this case, blue would be positive, the gray would be negative. You might not have one of these. Well, you might have a 9-volt. And what you wanna do is just grab it, negative, positive, doesn't really matter which one. Tap it. See the speaker moving out? That means it's correct. If it goes the other way, moves in like that, that means it's wrong. You could just use something as simple as a 9-volt to test that. Either way, the blue is gonna be positive. It uses the same plug all the way around, so what we like to do is we like to fold the negative down like this and leave the positive out so that we know that this is the positive. As we go around the car, here's what I was talking about. This was the driver's side right here, and we said this blue wire here was positive. Now we have the passenger. It's the same clip, it's the same speaker, so we know that this brown wire here is going to be positive on that. The front doors use the exact same clip. That means on the passenger side, it's gonna be this red wire, and on the driver's side, it's gonna be this green wire. So these doors have a piece of tape covering up a hole here. It's the perfect size for a grommet. Now, one other thing that's nice about the Kenwood 7-inch speakers, it comes with this stuff here. This is some cool foam gasket. It's like an inexpensive fast ring, which is perfect because for these rear speakers, they're gonna need it. The rear speaker's in, we have a grommet in place. We didn't have to drill a hole. Speaker's got the foam on it, so it'll marriage up with the door panel and will retain that mid bass through the grill. We got one done. We're gonna work our way around. Passenger door is done. This bolts in really nice. We've gone ahead and attached our wires, zip tied them in place, added the foam to the outside so that it'll couple with the door panel and push that 7-inch mid bass through the door. Let's go ahead and get the door panel back on. So the amplifier is mounted in the side panel there. It's nice and out of the way. Fernando's just finishing up the fuse holder. It's bolted into the factory bolt down here on the bottom. Comes up, loops around. Let's go ahead and take a listen. My expectations are kind of low on this because seeing how those speakers, the magnets were tiny, had 25 watt, probably really needs an amp for his highs on this one. Let's just give it a listen anyways. Now you can immediately hear the better bass response coming from the 7-inch in the front, which is normal for these things. These things are what we call the mid-bass monsters. They put out a ton of mid-bass. Unfortunately, the deck, it goes up to like 50, but at like 25, it's tapped out. It just doesn't have enough power to keep going. We've turned the bass down somewhat on the radio. You know, went into tone control and turned bass down so we can get up a little higher. Limit the movement of these things. Try to get a little bit more sound out of it. If you own one of these Mazdas, you're definitely going to want to put an amp on the highs because you need that power. This thing just lacks severely in power. I can tell you that these in the front doors with all the foam and everything, minus the roadkill, would have been great to do some roadkill. They have tons of bass. As you see, the subwoofer's not even playing and it's vibrating this camera. Big improvement here for sure. This thing has a ton of bass. They're definitely gonna overpower the highs. That might have been the goal. I don't know. I'm thinking this is what the guy wants. He's in luck. One more try. All right, as we like to say, and we'll say it one more time.
On to the next one.
Exactly. There's always another one. Thank God, because I got like 6 kids and 5 pairs of shoes and...
What does that mean?
I don't know, I'm joking. All right, I just got Haley's college. So keep subscribing. Bye.